Hello, folks. I'm Richard Moore, the United States Anti-Gang Stalking Association on YouTube and Facebook, North Mississippi Anti-Gang Stalking Association. I hope my connection is good. Um, it's been working on that a little bit. I wanted to, of course, I'm always talking about criminal organized stalking. Um, that is it's a complex and very convoluted, if you will, subject, and so it's impossible to even though we could spend weeks talking about the different spokes that are in the wheel of this criminal enterprise. But today I want to go back to the basics. I've titled this video "The Lowdown on the Lowlife," and when I'm speaking of criminal stalking and the people that are involved in criminal stalking, I am speaking about individuals that are categorically in that bracket of being lowlifes. There's not any other way of putting it. When you have individuals that systematically practice and carry out crimes against humanity, there's a lot of descriptions that they fit: law-abiding citizen, normal, a person of morals. None of those things would describe adequately, would even get close to describing these individuals. Now, they would like to present themselves as being, in a lot of cases, the moral authority. So, who are these people? We can start. It's groups that, like the Homeland Security Citizen Corps, the COPS program, Neighborhood Watch. Tupelo, Mississippi has a PALS program. So on and on and on. Different places, they've got different names for these groups, but they all have a common thread. They all are networked. There's no one is autonomous or independent as this organization is concerned. Now, like Homeland Security, which is not, I've stated this before, you can go to their website. This is not a some type of conspiracy. I mean, it's these crimes are taking place in plain sight, by the way. If you're not a victim and you're not a perpetrator and you're just an average citizen, you're not going to be aware of the things that are going on. No more than people were aware when they were exposed to asbestos. It's or if someone comes in contact with someone with this COVID-19. I mean, you're aware of it after you become sick. You're aware that you're a victim. In a lot of cases, you realize that something is off kilter, obviously. But sometimes, or in most cases, victims do not realize that there's actually a name for this. That this is an organized, orchestrated program. Now, it's these people question, well, how did I get on the list? I'm a good person. I did this. Well, the longer, the more uh, uh, that I learn, and each day is a learning process, because you have an ever changing, uh, convoluted system that is designed that way, uh, to cloak the identity of the perpetrators, to mask the crime, and uh, uh, to keep the victim from gaining any traction on retribution or any type of of being called up and having to face a jury trial, or having to experience our system. Which, by the way, these people, and when I say these people, I'm speaking of the people that run it. So, to give you an example, North Mississippi has a joint multi-jurisdictional quagmire task force. Okay, that means everybody's involved. The DEA, FBI, all that. Horse whisperers, whatever, the whole deal, and so they have they work in sales, a sale being several counties. And of course, it's they've got all the big guns, all the technology, and all that, because North Mississippi is, as the whole world knows, is just as when it comes to trafficking drugs and sex and all that, is worse than Miami was in the 80s, or is it? What's really going on? This program, in order to bilk hundreds of millions of dollars of taxpayer money from the government, then they have to have warm bodies. The warm bodies are the victims. So they create the narrative for the victim, and there's no method, again, to how and why they pick people. Okay, there's no method to that. You see, if it's these absolutes are they're real sticklers about these absolutes. They don't like that, because anything that could nail them down and show a concise pattern, it just makes them more vulnerable. They do not, secrecy and is the utmost importance. They're able to maintain this by the operatives, the people within the organization that have different duties. You'll have liaisons that deal with individuals in the community, fraternal organizations, and cults like the Masons, and we know that the Masons are cults, and you'll find them just swarming in these fake churches. A lot of these independent fundamentalist churches, Baptist, these independent Baptist churches, and that they've got you're going to hell if you're not going there. And the thing is, they're going to hell. They're fake. Okay. Now you have to understand, these people probably don't believe hell is really what it is, based on how a true born again Christian understands what an actual burning hell is. So they're misguided and very narrow-minded people that believe that they know what is best for the people. And they really, they don't like the justice system. Man, it's it's slow, and these criminals get attorneys and they get them off, and they blah 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 blah, and so they have, and by most part, you see someone in law enforcement, and they actually refer to themselves, "I'm the law." No, you're not. There's a difference between the law and law enforcement. And when you're not enforcing the law, what are you doing? You're breaking the law. There's only two things. In the line of duty, you're either enforcing law or you're breaking the law. By silently standing back and watching crimes taking place, turning your head, or participating, either way, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's a slippery slope, ladies and gentlemen. Now, they need warm bodies. So, Homeland Security will list a person as a person of interest of domestic terrorism or whatever. A citizen is not privy to any of this information. You can file FOIAs until kingdom come, and you're not going to get anything. So they're operating under that umbrella of what they feel is protection. But I challenge you not to buy or drink the Kool-Aid. I've talked before, and I'm going to keep talking about some very disturbing things as it pertains to the people in North Mississippi. Now, I just got through with just finished a short trip, and I was able to get some. This is for the stalkers that want to know if they've made prime time or not. So the clowns in Florida, I'll be doing something maybe tomorrow or the next day on that. I'm still gathering information, and I get a lot of information when I travel. I get hundreds, countless tag numbers, and a percentage of those are processed, and I gather data on these individuals, more than they think. Not only do I gather data on these individuals, I go outside of that, just the standard information about the vehicle, the owner, and their property, but their associations, the groups they belong to, and so forth and so on. And so it's a very stomach churning picture when you see these people. They're living one life, but when you're not paying attention, they're living dual lives, and it's more people than you think. Someone you might have known for years, and you say something quirky or off kilter about that. Well, that's probably a good definition. So this fits the bill for a lot of people that feel like that the due process, civil liberties, and the Constitution, that's just we're going to do it, and because we're protected, law enforcement is got our backs on this and help us with logistical support and so forth. That enables these criminals to have access, all the access that Homeland Security has, which they have in NSA, data on every citizen on the planet, but every citizen in America. Your text, your phone calls, they see them and they hear them. This is why do you think they want Edward Snowden so bad? He let the cat out of the bag. Okay, they said, well, he betrayed his country. I mean, how in the hell can that be considered uh, uh, betraying the country? No, the country is betraying its citizens by allowing this type of behavior to take place. Uh, I see I'm having some connection problems, but I always record. I've got several methods of recording to make sure that that I do get a good video out. So anyway, I don't know if this thing is what it's doing, but at any rate, I'm going to go back to what I was speaking of with these local and the local structure. Back in 2013 or 14, in 13, being released from prison after a bogus conviction where law enforcement, Chief Deputy now Curtis Knight, planted evidence, and this was all orchestrated between himself and a police officer, investigator in Amory, Mississippi, Bruce Andres, and attorney Jeff Navarro. It was a scheme concocted by them. These things can be very solidly substantiated right now. They're aware of that. I don't know how they feel. That, it's for them. It's a barking contest. Oh, they try to assist, but they know. They know that what they did, and they have to live with that every day. They have to live with it and hope that those chickens don't come home to roost. And I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, that the chickens have come home to roost. Little did I know that I knew that it was I had ruffled some feathers, whatever, and so their plan was to destroy my life. And this is what stalking does. It destroys. Once you're targeted, it is designed to destroy your life. Ultimately, the end game is for your life to end by self-implosion. So this is the program is designed. All the antics and all the things they do, if once reported, once the target repeats whatever's going on, the weapons and the things that the actions, the things that they do, will dovetail into something that would appear on its face as some type of psychosis. So many victims are written off as being nut jobs, or they're mentally unstable. As this continuous chipping away at a person's psyche, physically, mentally, they start with this smear campaigns, and that's the whisperers. They go, this guy and all this guy, and they so they do this. They stalk around the clock. They watch what you buy, from digging in your garbage cans. I've witnessed all this. Okay. Peeping toms. When we talk about perverted voyeurism and peeping toms and sex and human trafficking, folks, we're talking about the same people. We're talking about the sheriffs of these counties and nationwide are well aware of this. That's right. Well, why do they allow it? Well, that's the $1 million question. It's either play ball or be destroyed. President Trump calls this the deep state. To give you an idea of how the deep state can flex its muscles, or this election quagmire should be case in point. The same system of people and mindset that feel like, come hell or high water, that this is their country, and they're going to run it the way they want to, and damn the Constitution and civil liberties and individualism and the free enterprise system, any of those things. So it's an affront on the very foundation that this country is founded on. These people strive to overturn that, and daily we are experiencing and living this harsh reality. I didn't realize. So around 2014, living in outside of Okolona, Mississippi, this is where I came in contact with some individuals there that I've already talked about. But we're going to talk about the family and the people that are related to Eddie Roberts and Stephanie Owens Jameson. That's her step granddad. She lives across the street. Now this is when this is these are the things that law enforcement are aware of, but they overlook it. The things I'm telling you are mind-boggling at what is going on and what is allowed. And ladies and gentlemen, this is a serious problem. So Eddie Roberts is there's not any good words. He's a perverted, very evil individual. It doesn't matter how many church pews an individual rides or what church club he belongs to. It doesn't matter. This man was able to, and they have what they call stalking for hire. He spent a considerable amount of money to destroy me. The things I'm speaking of, this is not an assumption. This is, I can easily substantiate that. And not only that, but be able to gain sworn testimony that will support everything I'm telling you. So, they're personal friends with Judy Posey. She's a justice court judge, alcoholic, and believes that that's her world. When we speak of corruption in office, you cannot speak of corruption on the bench and not mention this woman's name. Her right-hand man, one of them was Jimmy Rapay. He, R-A-P-P-E. Rape would be more like it. This individual systematically was exchanging, and this is called rape, sex, in lieu of not going to jail for because we know about using drugs or whatever, and that was the deal with men and women, underage and overage. It got so bad that something came up, and the Mississippi Bureau of Investigation got involved, and he lost his job, and I can't imagine Mississippi Bureau of Investigation getting involved. I mean, it had to have been something that would have made them look bad, and they had to nip that in the bud. That's the only reason. okay? Because they knew all that was going on. Uh, so, and then you got this Anshay Randall. I think he's a constable. Same deal, folks. Same deal. Uh, we could go on and on about the corruption in Okolona and in Chickasaw County. I sued the Chickasaw County in federal court, so they didn't have any problems jumping on the retribution and retaliation bandwagon. They've been on it ever since. So when the last sheriff that was in there, now they've got they finally, he finally retired, and of course they allowed them to handle most of the methamphetamine trade down there, and that's been the deal for years. They know it. Everybody knows it. So why is it? I mean, is it legal or illegal? I mean, I don't know. I'm confused. But it's a fact what I'm saying. So now we got the sheriff James Myers in there, and it's more of the same, folks. More of the same. So Eddie Roberts gets help from law enforcement and these people that in this organized criminal stalking, and because he didn't like me because I've called a spade, essentially, and I posed a threat to his step granddaughter, which is Stephanie Owens Jameson, and at this time she was teaching school, elementary school, in Hulka, Mississippi, and an active, as is today, it hasn't changed, methamphetamine user, and we could talk about marijuana and other stuff. We'll talk about that, okay? Hulka had the people there that had been complaints and concerns and stuff, and ultimately she refused to submit to a drug test and was fired. I was blamed with that for some reason. I was on probation, so they were working. These individuals were working as full-time stalkers. Stephanie Owens Jameson and her live-in boyfriend. Of course, now when they started their relationship, it was 17. So for close to a year, we've got a 40-year-old woman having sexual relations with a 17-year-old boy, and he was passed to her from Sandy Whitlock, which was very vocal about it, and it was yeah. I mean, she told me and everybody else that I said, yeah, I wouldn't be. I mean, I don't know how it is in Mississippi, but I think it's against the law. So the fix was in, and she Whitlock subsequently got hemmed up and with drugs and so forth, and never went to jail, but she went to work for the stalking program, and they have gone. There's no telling at the people that have fallen unsuspected due to this criminal behavior. Tanya Davis was set up by one of the stalkers. She went and picked a guy up in Smithville, stopped. He went in and bought some dope, and she's just driving and gets in the car and whoop, they get blue lighted, and what's that? I don't know. And she takes the lick. She gets the lick. She didn't take it, and so she lost her everything. And this was their way of destroying and trying to shut someone up that posed a threat to some very serious and sickening information. Well, the statutory rape is serious. Now, Owens Jameson, she's a elementary school teacher in Elton now, and it's apparently the law enforcement is told these people, well, this is not true, whatever. Well, that's a damn lie. Okay. Just like her brother, Danny Owens, a convicted child rapist that is running the Celebrate Recovery Christian spinoff of this 12-step program deal over at Faith Outreach Church. He's also involved in this child sex trafficking and stalking criminal enterprise. Keith Roberts, which is the chief deputy at Chickasaw County, attends church there, and so does Jimmy Rapay. I mean, folks, if you're not picking up what I'm putting down, then I don't know what else to tell you. I absolutely just lost every bit of my service. Okay, so I don't know what else to tell you if you're not able to pick up what I'm putting down. Once Eddie Roberts was given what he feels like carte blanche to be able to exert himself criminally and retaliate against other human beings with the help of law enforcement, he had other axe to grind. He had on by sleight of hand and by being very malicious and underhanded with the help of a local attorney there, was able to literally steal land that belonged to the deceased mother of now deceased Fred Stevens, because that land was right across the street, and it adjoined the land where Owens Jameson, but all that land behind that, several acres, maybe 20 plus acres. He was able to go to the bank and pay do something, and that it was very malicious what he did. And then so they had some problems now with their neighbor Fred Stevens, and Fred Stevens still had some property there up and just not long before he supposedly died of natural causes in Chickasaw County Jail. Get the hell out of here. He had just paid an attorney $7,500 to argue in court about some land that was still in question that belonged to Fred Stevens. Not only that, the Stevens home had been infiltrated with listening devices, cameras, so forth and so on. They had been stalked, harassed, electronic weapons and so forth used against them. It goes on and on and on. I interviewed Tilda Stevens, the wife, and Fred Stevens. I had no idea. It was an impromptu visit one evening, and I announced why I was there, and it concerned Eddie Roberts. And for 2 hours, Tilda Stevens talked, and she talked about the things that they'd been going through and what Eddie Roberts had done. She expressed how the psychological torture that was being lodged against her and her husband. Eddie Roberts going as far as dressing up as a person working for AT&T and forcing his way into the home. She witnessed very uncomfortable things with him riding around on the property with his shirt off and his granddaughter that lived with him. But his mama lived across the street and still lives with him, I guess. Look, Dorothy, this is not Kansas, okay? I'm telling you, she was very clear about the crimes and the things that they had been doing, coming in and out of their home and so forth and so on, and was very stern about me helping her gain an interview with the FBI. I did try prior to them. A week and a half later, she was murdered, supposedly by Fred Stevens, and he died subsequently of self-inflicted knife wounds in the stomach. All that's horse shit, folks. Horse shit. Now, the MBI got involved because when Fred Stevens died in the county jail. That's as far as they went. They didn't go to all of that. Okay. Tried to have deniability there. They all want to have deniability. I made several attempts, and this is documented. They can't do away with that. Calling Sheriff Myers personally, said, I've got very important information about these people are in danger. They died. After that, same thing. I was told, quit calling. However, they did go to, I never mentioned Eddie Roberts, none of that. They did go, and I never mentioned the fact that Fred Stevens had taken a picture of me in his home that night. So we got a murder, suicide, or whatever they want to call it. And you got a person that's called and say, hey, I got information, I was there. They know I was there. I know they know I was there. Would you think they'd at least get a courtesy of, well, tell us what's going on or something? That hadn't happened. Has not happened. There's a reason it hadn't happened, folks. Because they've already got their story. How many crimes have been committed? How many deaths? And they have given a palatable story. Well, they were on dope or whatever, had a wreck or suicide, whatever. All that's questionable, folks. And it must be questionable because you have criminals, Michael Fowler and the sheriff, Keith Robertson. You've got Eddie Roberts, all these people, Anshay Randall, Judge Judy, this clique of it would, I think you can say nothing less than being satanic and evil at its core, are operating in broad daylight as doing whatever their lives are. But folks, I'm telling you what's really going on. This is what they don't want you to know. This is why it has been spared no expense. I can travel from one end of this country to the other, and I'm constantly harassed with vehicles and they everything, and I've documented it. So these people, wherever, are running cover and co-signing with murder, child sex and human trafficking, child rape, and some other things are developing with the involvement in making snuff flicks. And this is right here, folks, North Mississippi. That should be disturbing to most people. It should be disturbing. But let me tell you, folks, it is no secret with law enforcement what I'm talking about. They'll deny it. They'll deny it. But let me tell you, their hands are dirty. They can't deny this thing with the Stevens family down there. So Eddie Roberts was able, through his criminal stalking group, to get Childa and Fred Stevens out of the way. I'm unfinished business, by the way. Eddie Roberts is a weak, coward, despicable, pathetic excuse for a human being, and that goes for those that are associated with him. I've already mentioned. That's a fact. That's a fact. If it was their family, it'd be different, wouldn't it? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. So I know for a fact that the information I've got with Eddie Roberts, that back one of my phones was hacked, and it had his Wi-Fi name, and it had all that stuff was on my phone. It didn't make any sense. And so he's using Mylan Carter. That's the boy that still lives with Stephanie Owens, and this is a problem because there's no statute of limitation on rape, and so they got to keep him happy and keep him in the loop. So they brought him right into the stalking deal, let him participate in that, and that's what she does, and but it goes deeper than that, to child molestation by her. And I guess we'll talk about that next time. It's a long history in that family of trying to put off airs of being something other than what they are. But we talk about family members that having sex with each other, the men, the women, and that stuff. Folks, you don't need to go any further. This is accepted. It's practiced. It is. They'll talk about it. Let's do it. Okay. Been doing it for years. It's sickening. Absolutely sickening. If they can shut all the people down that could possibly divulge these alarming facts, that they'll try to do that, and that's what they've tried to do this individual here. Okay, this is not an isolated case, ladies and gentlemen. I'm painting you a picture of the type of people that are involved in criminal stalking. You see, they have their own their own agendas. So for the sexual perverts out there and these murderers, they can continue doing what they're doing and work hand in hand, this holistic approach of community policing. This is spooky, folks. So now we've got them just ignoring this. The sheriff of Union County is down with the program, down with the lowlifes. He's well aware of everything that's going on. I mean, what more can you say? What does that say about a person that is not taking a stand for all people, that is not defending and protecting the Constitution and the civil liberties? What does that say? Folks, it says a lot, everything but what it needs to say. That's exactly what it says. Those are the type of individuals that are under the color of law. They're hoodwinking because they have their own. They've got their careers that they're concerned with, their power, and they're getting these grants from the government and all this funding and all this BS. So they have to accept the good with the bad, and the bad is there's no limit to the crimes that these people will commit, and then pretend like they don't know what we're talking about. You see, once this is gets traction in the court system, and it will, it's peeling an onion from hell, folks. A lot of people are involved, and a lot of people's hands are covered in blood, and they will pay. You can believe that they will pay. Especially when you take people out there claim to be a man or a woman of God, and you're attacking, and you're doing what you're doing, and somehow you're excusing it, and you have no guilty conscience. That means you're the reason you don't have a guilty conscience is because you don't have any God in you. You're a lost soul, and you're not serving God. You're serving somebody else. But as a child of God, I'm still here and I'm still talking. That's your proof. That's your proof, Mr. Pathetic Stalker, that you will not succeed. Now, I know that irritates you, but you won't succeed. You will fail. You have been failing, and you will continue to fail. There's nothing good comes out of what you're doing and participating in. So, with that said, Attorney General Lynn Fitch, you can hang this on your mantle, that on your watch, the biggest stance you've taken since being in office is setting up a hotline for people to report gouging on hand sanitizer because of this COVID deal. I mean, that's it. But your office personally told me that you were not interested in talking about any case that implicates corrupt law enforcement or infers that a person's civil or constitutional rights have been violated, regardless of how much proof and evidence they're willing to submit. That's a fact. Attorney General Lynn Fitch of Mississippi. You own it. Came right out of your office. More than once. People have died, Attorney General. Ultimately, that blood is on your hands. You were put in office to protect and to enforce the laws as the chief law enforcement officer of this state. And you know what you've done? You have betrayed your oath. You have betrayed. The best thing you could do would be to immediately resign and then find a church somewhere that is a real church and get right with God. I don't see any of that happening because that pride and the lies are so deep that you have willingly looked over and excused with some kind of a loophole. There is no loophole when it comes to systematic crimes against humanity. Regardless of how it's done, the crime is still the crime, Attorney General. These people I've mentioned here in North Mississippi, I don't expect you to investigate it because you already know what the hell's going on. So that falls on your lap. And so that's your tiger. You got to figure out whether you want to ride it or turn it loose. Not mine. I'm not the only person that has and will submit truckloads of evidence to substantiate everything I've been talking about right now. So to sum it up, folks, we've got the Nettleton School District elementary school teacher that is fine to have an illegal drug addict, drug user addict rapist school teacher, yeah, that is actively involved in an organization that support other groups and individuals that have a lot of perverted things that they do, folks. I've talked about them and talked about them. It's this, like this Jermaine Gathings, that's a district manager for Dollar General, the Nettleton and Shannon and that area at Pontotoc. They furnish him a car for years. Has trolled, picking up young men, sexually assaulting them, getting them drugged up and drunk. I personally know some of those individuals that have told me their stories. I mean, you can't. He working in tandem with Stephanie Owens and Eddie Roberts. They met more than once and devised ways to try to destroy me and get me out of the way because I'm talking too damn much. I'm gonna keep talking, creep. That includes your perverted creep. Oh my God, this Daryl Cooper, whatever his name is, that works at another dog, lives with him over there in Nettleton. But let me tell you what, it's a den. You talk about a den of iniquity, don't even get close when we're talking about these people. That's what's really going on. This is the lowdown on low life, folks. So this is so daily. When I'm out, whatever, I've got these freaks and perverts. They're trying to peep everything. I just posted samplings of devices that were put in my home, and I know who put them in here. There's several police reports made on break-ins and so forth and thefts, and that's filed with Union County. And he does shit about it. But it's the same people because they greenlighted that. Union County greenlighted that. They're well aware of that. They're well aware of it. And this was confirmed by a federal probation officer, Chad Reddick. So I asked him about it, okay? I don't know how many people you're going to get to perjure themselves in a federal courtroom, but I'm telling you what, I've got it on good authority that the people that we will march in will not perjure themselves, okay? So this is not some theory that's been pulled out of thin air. I've been given information for a long time from a lot of people, and I've been collecting evidence, and it's not my job, Lynn Fitch, to investigate crimes. That's your damn job, and if you can't do it, it's your duty to ask for the assistance of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, not mine. But we have to go public as victims to even have a chance at gaining a voice at what's really going on, because this is something that they want to muzzle. This is something Jimmy Johnson does not want you to hear. Jimmy Edwards do not want you to hear it. James Myers don't want you to hear it. Okay? And the list goes on and on and on and on. This task force that we have in North Mississippi and criminal stalking is all the same beast. They're the ones that bring the drugs into North Mississippi. How do I know this? From drug dealers that get drugs from them. Okay? Not a little bit of drugs on a controlled buy or something like it. No. I'm talking about the real deal, Bill. That's how it gets in here. That's who controls it. That's what's going on. So you can go keep on with your smear tactics and all the things you do. But when you came into my house and you tampered and destroyed everything that I had, and you've done everything within your power to destroy me, by God, you failed. And I am going to make sure that the truth is told and that we shed light, and we'll do it continuously and relentlessly, just as relentless as you are at destroying other human beings. There is an untold number of people just in North Mississippi. Now, we're not talking about nationwide, but just in North Mississippi that have died because of your actions. There's a lot of blood on your hands, and you know it. And all different stories are being told. But you know what the truth is. The story that the public is getting versus the truth is two different things. These people could care less about our youth, about whether they're on dope or not, whether somebody gets raped or not. They could care less. I'm telling you, folks, that's good for business. You understand me? That's good for business. If none of that was going on, then hell, they would be. We wouldn't need them, and they wouldn't need the grant money, and they wouldn't. Everybody get blessed with their business is doing good while other businesses are struggling. Because if you don't play ball, folks, you don't play ball. Homeland Security is owned by state employees, retired state employees. They stalk too, and private contractors. And that private contractor is a broad damn brush, okay? Broad brush. So a lot of people have cast their lot with that because you know what? It's all about the dollar. That's a sad day, folks. It's a sad day every day. Every time I have to sit down and break down these things about these people. And folks, let me tell you, just these people, the individuals I'm talking about in Chickasaw County, I hadn't even scratched the surface. They know it. But we're going to dig on down in there, okay? Because it needs the attention. And they've done everything to try to shut me down on social media and everything. Get God, shut him up. Well, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. For any person that has any information, regardless of where you live in this country, you're welcome to submit it to me. You can contact me through Twitter, Instagram, through YouTube, Facebook. You can submit that. I get stuff daily. I mean, right now I could start a whole program just on of information that I have. The whole paper trail of names and transactions, law enforcement officers purchasing illegal steroids and stuff like that through the mail and all that, you know. I mean, we could have a whole deal just on that. I mean, I don't have time for it. I mean, I'm aware of it. They operate outside of the law on every level, okay? Every level. And not all law enforcement are down with criminal behavior. I believe that there's more good than there is bad when it comes to that. I believe that those that are sick and tired of the illegal and criminal bullshit within their agency, but they can't do anything about it. I mean, they're or they feel like they can't. Some of them are doing things about it. I believe it's that. Some of them are. Some of them are speaking up. Some of them are doing things. It's not as sealed airtight as this organization would like it to be, because it's people just have a problem with being shunned and being ostracized and being isolated and all the things that they do the targeted individual for them to lose hope. And I'm telling you, as a victim, there's all the hope, and all the hope is in Christ and Him crucified. You put your faith in God, I will promise you one thing: He never fails, ever. He won't fail you. We fail daily, but God never fails. And God will never allow one of his to come against one of his own. This is how I know. When I speak about the people that come against me, I know they're ungodly people. It's not any question about that. I see them living their karma on a daily basis. Jesus taught karma. He said, as you sow, so shall you reap. At the stalkers and stuff, on the highways, they know what I'm talking about. They experience it. They're miserable people, I'm going to tell you. They may put a different face on when you see them, but it's hard for you can see it. It's deep. Their sins are many, 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 and they're criminal. These crimes, folks, that I'm talking about, this is not an isolated deal. There's who knows how many people have died and that will die at the hands of these same individuals that I'm talking about. Only God knows. But one thing I do know, that if we don't speak up about it and action is not taken, people will continue to suffer. And this is what we must speak out against. And I will continue to speak out against it. I will continue to expose it. And I will continue to be there for other victims, real victims, and support them and help them in any way possible. Until next time, folks, God bless you.